Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to day 16. We are going to kind of work through as much as we can in this first hour, and then we will finish off tomorrow. So, here's what we're going to do. You're going to need quite a few materials for this lesson, but please feel free to open as we go along. But the most important thing is that you have thunder rolling in the mountains. Okay. Otherwise, you can just have your Schoology folder open, ready to click on the assignments as we go through. So, our essential question is, how do cultural beliefs and values guide people? Our focusing question is, what important beliefs and values guide Chief Joseph and his daughter, Sound of Running Feet? So today in this day 16 lesson, our focus is going to be on what is happening in the novel Thunder Rolling in the Mountains. And then our craft question is, how do I analyze my evidence and elaboration to prepare to write a comparison contrast essay? So in short, we're going to be reading chapters 9, 10, and 11. We're going to be doing a new read assessment. And we're going to be looking more closely at that handout 18B that we've been working on for so long, and just kind of how do we analyze that evidence that we've already gathered to help us with our focusing question task 5. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to open up your book to page 47, and we are going to read up until the line ending in, I would speak to him about it. So page 47. Okay. So, also, you will need to open up your Day 16 InSync journal. And in there, you are going to record your noticings and wonderings about characters and events. Okay, so for a little reference here, here are the directions that we're about to do, and then you're going to notice and wonder right in this chart here. Okay, and here we are on in chapter 9. If you need to, you can use the PDF version of Thunder Rolling in the Mountains. I put the folder in your folder for today. Okay, so chapter 9, page 47. Without fear, we followed the creek into Bitterroot Valley. Our march slowed. The scouts no longer searched the trail for signs of the bluecoats. We moved through the valley, trading gold dust and horses for supplies. The settlers seemed friendly. The shopkeepers opened their stores and sold us flour and coffee, sugar, and tobacco. They sold us heavy cloth to make teepees, for some of our people had left their buffalo robes on the other side of the mountains. We saw no soldiers. As we rode along, settlers waved at us and wished us well. Yet my father's heart seemed to grow heavier with each step of his horse's hooves. We were moving farther and farther from the land of the wandering waters. Digging my heels into the sides of my spotted pony, I rode to his side. His eyes looked at the line of trees where the sky met the earth, but he did not see them. There was pain in his gaze. "Are we safe, Father?" I asked. "Safe for now," he answered without turning his head. "We have left the war behind us in Montana with our enemies, but we will never see our home again. My heart is sick. I fear to die in a strange land far from the bones of my father and mother." "We can still fight," I said. "The blood of our people has been shed, and the young men are ready to die in battle." My words made him look at me. "Do not talk like that," he said. "The white settlers are like the sands of the river. No matter how many we kill, more come. Our warriors would die in so many of those who do not fight. And who would care for our women and children when the warriors are dead? They would still be far from home. We must protect our women and children, even if it means we are strangers in the land." His mouth made a straight line. His words came like a sigh. "We will go on to the land of the crows," he said. "There we can hunt buffalo and replenish our herds. The bluecoats do not bother the crow." At first, I was sad. Then, like a ray of sunlight, a thought came into my head. If the war was really over, Two Moons would let the marriage go forward. I began to feel happy. When we reached the crow's swan necklace, could find colored earths and paint our marriage blanket. Then we could have our own teepee. When my father felt better, I would speak to him about it. Okay, so we're going to pause right there. And I want you to head on over to Schoology and open up your new Read Assessment 21. So go ahead and pause the video and do that now. Okay, so the directions. Read pages 47 to 49 of Thunder Rolling in the Mountains to the line ending, I would speak to him about it, which we just did. As you read, use sticky notes or create a T-chart to record what you notice and wonder about the characters in this passage. When you finish reading, answer the questions and complete the short writing prompts. Okay, so you only have one chance to do this. So you will click Start Attempt. Okay, and you will go through. So here are the directions we just read. Part 1, read each question carefully. Some questions have a Part A and a Part B. Be sure to complete both parts. Some questions will ask you to choose one correct answer, while others will ask you to choose more than one correct answer. Refer back to the passage on pages 47 to 49 of Thunder Rolling in the Mountains is needed. Which of the following lines summarizes what is happening in the passage? So you'll go through and answer that. Read the sentence from page 47. Yet my father's heart seemed to grow heavier with each step of his horse's foot. Which of the following best captures the narrator's meaning when she says my father's heart seemed to grow heavier? And answer that. Now go to 3. Which detail from the passage on page 47 provides the best clue for the meaning of the expression, my father's heart seemed to grow heavier? And you click on that. Sorry. Which of the following best captures Chief Joseph's meaning on page 48 when he tells his daughter the white settlers are like the sands of the river? You answer that. Part B, which detail from the passage on page 48 provides the best clue for the meaning of the line, the white settlers are like sands of the river? So again, that goes with number 4, just like 3 and 2. Number 6, Part A, which of the following best describes the difference between Chief Joseph and the narrator's sound of running feet in this passage? Then Part B for that. Choose one detail in the left column for Chief Joseph and one detail in the right column for sound of running feet that supports the contrast between them. So you're going to look at Chief Joseph and tell me what detail supports what he believes in and sound of running feet on the right, and then scroll down here. You'll choose one of these, A, B, or C for Chief Joseph, and A, B, or C for sound of running feet. So if you think the answer is, I fear to die in a strange land far from the bones of my father, and Are we safe, Father? You would click A for Chief Joseph and A for sound of running feet. You should have 2 answers here. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and answer 1 through 7, and then come on back here and I'll go over 8 and 9. Okay, so at this point you should have answered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to go on to 8 and 9. So read the quotation in the evidence column of the sample evidence organizer below. This should look very familiar. We have done a bunch of these. Then paraphrase the character's words. So in your own words, what is Chief Joseph saying? So you're going to read this quote, and then you're going to paraphrase it in this box below. Keep in mind, you are doing the elaboration in the next question. So for right now, all you're doing is paraphrasing this quote, putting this quote into your own words down here. And then, when you're done with that, you go on to 9 and do the elaboration. Write 2 or 3 complete sentences of elaboration to explain how this particular evidence shows an important belief or value of Chief Joseph's and how this belief or value guides his decisions and actions in the story up until this point. So you're going to fill in this box down here. Okay, and then when you're done, you click Review, make sure all of these questions are answered, and then click Finish. You can go ahead, pause the video, and then come back here when you are ready to move on. Okay, so at this point, you should have finished your new read assessment, and also you should have noticed and wondered so far for Chapter 9. We're going to go ahead and finish Chapter 9, and I'd like for you to continue noticing and wondering in your InSync journal. I dropped back to ride with the children. I showed them the squirrels scampering up the trees and leaping from limb to limb. I pointed out the hawks that hung high in the sky and the woodchucks sitting beside their holes. I called out when we passed patches of ripening blackberries. I told them about the wire strung on the poles beside the trail. "See the silver wire," I said. "It talks all day and night. It sings like a lark, sending the settlers words from one town to the next." The children's laughter rang out for the first time since we left Salmon Creek. They did not believe that a wire could send talk across the miles. I found it hard to believe myself, but my father had told me about the click-clack. He said that the clicks ran through the wire like evil spirits, telling the one-armed general which trails we took and where we camped each night. Swan Necklace joined us. We rode side by side, our legs touching. I looked at Swan Necklace and thought about our marriage, and my cheeks turned scarlet. To hide my embarrassment, I told the children stories about Coyote, the trickster, with magic powers. One of their favorite stories was about the time Coyote created the tribes. One summer in the days before there were people, Coyote learned that a fearsome monster was eating all the animals. Coyote went to the river where the monster lived and let the terrible creature eat him too. Once Coyote was inside the monster's belly, he started a fire. With a stone knife, he cut the monster's heart from its body. As the monster lay dying, Coyote slashed open its belly and freed all the animals. Coyote cut the monster's body into pieces and flung them across the land. Each piece of the bloody flesh became a tribe. One piece became Flathead, another became Crow, another Sioux, another Assiniboine, another Blackfoot, another Kootenai, another Bannock, another Cayuse, another Paiute. All the pieces were gone when Fox told Coyote that he had forgotten to throw a piece of the monster in the land beside the river where he had killed it. Coyote picked up the monster's heart and sprinkled the land with its rich blood. The drops of blood became Nimipu, the real people. Coyote never threw away the monster's heart and liver. To this day you can see them, two huge stone mounds in the center of our country. Another time Coyote and Black Bear got into a ferocious argument. Coyote was busy fishing when the argument started. He became so angry that he marched out of the river and threw his fish net way up the hill. Then he grabbed Black Bear by the scruff of his neck, and shook him hard, saying he'd teach the bear not to bother him while he was fishing. He picked up Black Bear and threw him against the hill on the other side of the river, using his magic powers to turn the bear into stone. And there they remain to this day, high above the clear water, the net on the bank of the river, and the bear on the other. I told stories until the shadows fell and we came to a halt. We had been in the valley for 10 suns. So we're just going to go on to chapter 10, and after chapter 10, we're going to start summarizing, and we're going to talk about what that means. Chapter 10, page 52. We had come to a second vast valley of brush and willows and tall white trees. A clear stream ran silently from one far shore to another, a day's slow journey on horseback. Blossoms were scattered through the tall grass, waving beside the water. We were tired from our long travels, and the old people stumbled at every step they took. But the redcoats strode through the camp with their chests out and their red jackets taunting those who would dare to stop them. Looking Glass said we would stay at this place for 3 suns. Here we would cut teepee poles and let them dry. Birch trees with tall, smooth trunks grew everywhere along the shores. They were the best trees for the teepee pole. Our women cut down stacks of saplings, peeled them clean, and set them out to dry in the sun. Without them, we would have had to sleep beneath the stars. We would need the poles during the rest of our flight. We gathered food to eat along the way. The warriors hunted antelope and black-tailed deer, and the old men caught fish. The women dug roots. No one thought of the white soldiers we had left behind in Montana. No one except Lone Bird, one of our brave warriors. He rode through the camp telling the chiefs that we must stay on the trail. "I do not trust the bluecoats," he said. "Maybe they are close behind us. Keep going, move fast. Death may be following on our trail." Willitits agreed. He told of his dream. "Last night I saw myself killed. I do not turn back from death, but first I will kill some soldiers." My brothers, my sisters, I am telling you, we are all going to die." He offered to take the redcoats and scout back along the trail. Whitebird said that was good, but Looking Glass told Waleedites to hunt antelope instead. "The bluecoats are far away across the mountains," he said. "Our horses are weary and need rest. This is a peaceful place, and here we are safe. Your dream was idle fancy, no more." We forgot Lone Bird's warning and Waleedi's dream. When the hunters came back, it was a happy night. For supper, we ate speckled trout and camas roots baked in ashes and the last of the huckleberries we had picked along the way. Swan Necklace polished his boots and put bear grease on his hair. He faintly glistened. He said kind words about my eagle feather and goose quill jacket and the blue beaded band I wore around my forehead. But he was so full of his part in battle that he could talk of little else. I was proud of him. To please him, I said, "You'll be a chieftain after just one more battle with the bluecoats. They'll come sneaking along again in a few days and I'll kill some more." Children made ugly masks of the dead soldiers with eyes hanging down on their cheeks and pieces of ear cut off. They dug holes and buried the masks deep and laughed and hummed secret songs that they made up. Our ponies and mules were tethered above the stream, where they could be watched during the night. Sentries were placed on the crests of the valley, but not enough of them. The camp slept well. In the willows, frogs croaked their night song, a child screamed, and dogs barked. A woman who had been wounded at Whitebird moaned. Those were all the sounds I heard before daybreak. The sky was cold gray when I woke from a troubled sleep and crawled out of the teepee. I had picked up a pot to fill with water for the morning meal when the first shot crossed the stream. It came from a tree close behind me. Waleedi's, wrapped in his long red coat, had gone out to see that the herd was still safely tied up. He marched along the shore with a warrior step. A second bullet struck him in the back and knocked him down. He was the one who had killed Richard Devine and started the war, and the enemy knew it. Waleedi's crawled to the stream. He was falling in the water when his wife came out of their teepee. She was heavy with child. She would bear him and walked slowly. She caught him in her arms and held him until he gave one long gasp and was dead. The man who had killed Waleedi stood over her, saying something I could not hear, putting bullets in his smoking gun. The next bullet struck her in the chest. He staggered but made no sound. Somehow she got the gun from him and took careful aim and shot him in the face. Then she sank to the ground and died. My father lurched from his bed and ran outside. He thrust my baby sister into my arms. The air was filled with shouts and war whoops and the cries of children, cut through by the sound of shooting. Bullets tore through the camp like hailstones. Fires burned along the shore from one teepee to another. Women with children clutching their skirts and babies on their backs ran out of the teepee screaming. My father told them to leave the stream and hide on the hillside in the brush. By this time all the teepees were burning. My mother ran out with her braided hair on fire. Some of the women tried to hide in the stream, but it was too shallow and their heads stuck out of the water. Soldiers shot at their heads and killed all except a child who was able to crawl along the bottom and grasped some willows along the shore. Our warriors drove the soldiers back across the stream and through the willows. Then Looking Glass gathered our warriors and scattered them through the bottom between the stream and the far hills. They dug pits, set up carbines, and built rock walls high enough to shoot over and not to be shot at by the soldiers. Their guns were not new, and their soft bullets got stuck in the barrels and the barrels exploded. They had no food and it was hard to reach the stream without being shot. Yet from the hour Looking Glass put them in the pits, they fought until the gun barrels melted. At night Chief Joseph went to the dirt pits and counted. He found 31 of our people dead and 26 badly wounded. Most of the dead and wounded were women, old men, and children. Some had been shot as they slept, still rolled in their blankets. Some had been clubbed by the soldiers when they charged the camp at dawn. We lost 12 warriors. Red Moccasin Tops was dead, killed by a bullet that struck him in the throat. One of the redcoats, only Swan Necklace. Of the redcoats, only Swan Necklace lived. My father could not count the enemy soldiers who were slain and wounded in the hills, but our warriors said that the bluecoats lay thick upon the ground. Lino, who had joined us only a few suns before, fought valiantly. He led a group that seized the soldiers' cannon, broke it, and pushed it into the swamp. They captured enough bullets to fight many battles, yet we had taken a loss we dared not suffer another day. Fighting stopped when the night hawks began to fly. Swan Necklace and I held hands and talked about the day we would be married and live once more in beautiful Wallowa. We watched two girls combing their wet hair. They had spent most of the days in the stream, swimming in the shallows and coming up to breathe. Then I went to help with the wounded. My mother had been hit as she ran for the stream, her hair in flames. We fought for her life all night there by the water. My father held her in his arms, away from the smoldering camp and the starlit sky to the world beyond. When she died, my father said, "Will this hatred ever end? It sickens my heart. All men were made by the same great spirit chief, yet we shoot one another down like animals." Okay, so that is the end of chapter 10. So what we're going to do is this. Back in your InSync journal, we are going to do a brief summary of chapter 10. I know that was a very graphic chapter and pretty sad chapter. They lost a lot of loved ones, a lot of warriors, a lot of women and children and the elderly in this chapter. So I just want you to take a minute and I want you to fill in these 3 blanks. So at the beginning of the chapter, tell me what happened. In the middle of the chapter, tell me what happened. And at the end of the chapter, I want you to tell me what happened. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now and do that in your InSync journal. Okay, so now that you've summarized what happened in the beginning of the chapter, the middle of the chapter, and the end of the chapter, we're going to go ahead and reflect and answer these questions in your InSync journal. So consider the significance of the final words of chapter 10, spoken by Chief Joseph. Will this hatred ever end? It sickens my heart. All men were made by the same great spirit chief, yet we shoot one another down like animals. So what do these words tell you about the emotions of Chief Joseph at this point in the novel? And how did the words reflect the beliefs and values of Chief Joseph? So go ahead, pause the video, and answer those 2 questions. Okay, and before we go on to chapter 11, I want you to answer this question also. How did the events of chapter 10 impact the Nez Perce people? So I really want you to think about everything that happened in chapter 10. And how that affected or impacted the Nez Perce people. So go ahead and pause the video now and do so. In your InSync journal, I'm sorry. Okay, so now that you've finished answering this question, you are done for today. We are going to continue on with this lesson tomorrow, and we're going to see a little bit of Mrs. Foley. So I hope that you have enjoyed reading today. We'll read chapters 11 and 12 tomorrow.